Dr. Johnson famously observed that when a man is tired of London, he is tired of life. And on this walk, I intend to show you his words are still as true today as they were when he spoke them over 200 years ago. Who cannot be impressed by buildings such as this, the oldest parish church in London, the Priory Church of St. Bartholomew the Great? It dates back to the year 1123. Its walls quite literally drip with history. It's looked down on nigh on 1,000 years of everyday London life. And then over here, these wonderful old pre-fire buildings. They date back to the early 17th century. Put them into their historic perspective. The residents of these buildings, they would have looked from those windows nervously in 1666 as the flames of the Great Fire of London raged towards them from the city's eastern section. Fortunately for them and for us, the flames burnt out before they got here, and consequently we have these little pockets of the past that have survived, these wonderful little sections of London, and that's the London we're going to show you on the Secret City Tour. So come with us now as we journey back in time to a long ago city of narrow alleyways and hidden buildings.
Remember when we were over on Cheapside, I told you how Cheapside was so named because it was a marketplace in the Middle Ages. Do you remember? Yeah. I told you that. Do you remember I also told you that the streets surrounding Cheapside were named, or tended to be named, for the commodities that were sold on them in the Middle Ages? Do you remember? I told you that.
Yes.
Well, I wonder, can anybody guess what was the commodity that was sold on this lane in the Middle Ages? Shall we take a romantic stroll along Love Lane?
I don't know about much romance.
Nice one.
And Watch used that to say that we really should remember people like Alice Ayres who give their lives saving the lives of others. And thus in 1900 the memorial to heroic self-sacrifice came into being. And the first ones to go up were Sarah Smith, Alice Ayres and a few more. Solomon Galliman, who was 11 years old when he was run over on Commercial Street while saving the life of his little brother. And then his poignant, though unlikely, last words, "Mother, I saved him, but I could not save myself." And then also, if you've seen the film Closer, incidentally, you will have seen this. If you saw the film Closer, Julia Roberts, Jude Law and Natalie Portman. Well, you might recall that, well, Jude Law, a scene of that was filmed here. Jude Law, I think you're Jude Law. So Jude Law is actually, Jude Law is standing here. You're Natalie Portman, okay? So Natalie Portman is standing here. And Natalie Portman's character wants to take an alias. And the alias she chooses is Alice Ayres. So if you want to see, if you see Closer, just look out for the scene that was filmed alongside here with Jude Law and Natalie Portman taking the name Alice Ayres. is the Balthrop Memorial, and it commemorates Robert Balthrop, a surgeon, or the sergeant surgeon in the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. Now, if we have anyone here today who is feeling tempted to take up the art of epitaph writing, then it's well worth paying a visit to the Balthrop Memorial, because it tackles that thorny issue that every epitaph writer is going to come across sooner or later in their career. What you do if you're writing someone's epitaph and they are so selfish they've gone and died in a year that doesn't rhyme with what you've just written. How do you get around a problem such as this? Well, you turn to the Balthrop Memorial for inspiration, because it reads, "Here Robert Balthrop lies entombed, to Elizabeth our Queen, whose sergeant to the surgeon sworn near 30 years hath been. He died at 69 of years, December 9th, the date, the year of grace, 800 twice, deducting 9 away." So that's the way to do it. Anyway, let's take our way out through the Henry VIII gatehouse. Aside from that, I'd like to thank you for joining me on the tour. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and now do have a pleasant remainder of your evening. Thank you very much there, and good afternoon. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And there's the clock.